First bow build for me of 2024, Lift 33. Let's see how this thing does. Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel. MFJJ here with podiumarcher.com, doing my first personal bow build to try to figure out which bow I'm going to use this year. The Lift 33. Big surprise, right? This bow's destroying this year. I mean, there's so many people using this, buying this, etc. It's a pretty impressive bow, and I'm sure there's haters down below talking all kinds of crap, but this bow is really impressive. It's light, it's fast, it's smooth, it's relatively quiet, which you'll have a different experience regardless of what length you have it at, mind you. So not everybody's going to try it, it's going to feel the same, but for me this bow feels really incredible and I'm pretty excited to use it. I am going to use the stock strings. We're going to throw it together for you so you can watch what we do, and we're going to go through each part one at a time. Ultra View slider. I've had this since September, somewhere around there. Last year, and I hadn't put it on a bow yet because I was waiting to build another Mathews because they sent it to me in the bridge lock version. This is different than the side mount here. Has first, second, and third accesses. Really seamless operation. Unlock, move, lock, your pull, left, right. It works really well. It's a cool little setup. A lot of mixed reviews on this site out there as far as durability, etc. But there's one thing I really didn't like about this, and it's this big 4-pin head. So I'm going to take this and put it on instead. The smaller SE3 double pin, excuse me. So that's going to get swapped out on here. In an effort to try something different, I'm going to use a ripcord ratchet, limb driven micro adjust. IMS attachment, hooks directly onto the back, micro windage, micro elevation, and one of the fastest rests to put on a bow that I have ever seen. Fully limb driven, fully contained, looks like a really good unit. And we actually finally got some inventory on these on the website. If you were looking at one, you might want to go over and check there. I got like 6 or 7 cases from the other day. So that's the rest. 15-inch podium stiff bar. This is out of the new Target line. The material here is twice as thick as the standards, and you really don't have to go with a stiff on that, but anytime you go over 12 inches on your stabilizer, I really like to go with a stiff version because it just doesn't flex as easily. This stuff is like, oh, really hard, really tough. Good stuff, reasonably priced, also over on the website, but that's what I'm using. New quick disconnect offset bar. Same as the original with this built into it. Stud that pops in there, screw in, screw off. This stays on your stabilizer. Makes taking it off really simple. Adjustments for cord length for your wrist. Bolts on your riser where your stabilizer normally would. Basically eliminates the need for 2 bars. I'm going to test all my bows with this. I may change to a 2-bar system after I pick whichever bow, but this is what I'm starting with. And for most of my hunting, this is what I intend to use personally. Those are now available on the website as well. They're new. First time of them. Let me know what you think in the comments below on that one. Total Peep. 0 angle Mathews Tech Grip. This right here actually has me really liking shooting a Mathews for the first time in quite a long time because my knuckle right here would always rub on the riser whenever I would shoot one, and it was quite uncomfortable. That is slick. It's clean. It's square edged. It's the same angle. The radius is up here so your hand doesn't stick up in the way. And that little lip right there stops your hand from going up in the throat enough that it doesn't actually touch the riser over here, which I really love. Mathews Low Pro. 1-piece quiver in the earth. Largely because I want to be able to take this off during my testing, I'm going to use detachables this time around, personally. Same quiver as last year, just a different color. No changes otherwise. Pretty slick unit, and this is all the hardware that stays on your bow, so when you do take it off, you're dropping all this weight off and just leaving those 2 little doodads right there. Last but not least, EXO limb legs. These are the only ones that fit lifts, so if you have a different one of these and you buy a lift, this is not going to fit. So that's the dealio, and it weighs less, which is nice. Let's go. I did really like the contour of it. It's not really square edged, but outside of that, it's this part touching right here. You can see my hand. If I stick my hand on there, it's physically touching it right now. And if you push some weight into it, it drives on it. And then when the bow goes off, it rolls on it. So if you take this, put that on its place. It does come with some stickum on there, but I'm going to leave it off for now in case I want to change it. And leave the stock stuff on there. It's a nice contour. Works up good. And it's got a nice little edge to it. And if you now look, how far my knuckle is away from that. So even when I go to pull the bow back, it's still quite a bit away from it. So no matter how I position my hand, I can't rub there. That was my #1 gripe on those, and that alleviates it. So I'm happy to see that. I'll do that. Let's see. Offset bar installation, super simple. Nothing complicated about it. I will roll this way. Unscrew one of the sides to get it on. Start with that one. Loosen it up. Don't take it all the way out. Slide it around and back through. Tighten her up. This one I would probably snug, because if you're going to adjust length on this, I would adjust the other screw, because it points back at you. You can see it. And then the excess cord you can like loop down through here or cut it off and melt it if you want. So it's pretty simple. Some people like to try to keep these square. I'm not terribly worried about it. I mean, aesthetics is kind of nice if this is like at a 90-degree angle. But the purpose of this is simply to move the weight of the stabilizer over, so it offsets the weight of some of the things that are on this side of the bow. Now, today's bows are not nearly as bad as bows from 5 or 10 years ago, especially with some of the accessories they have, i.e. the quivers and the integrated sights and that sort of thing. But so you don't need it as much, but some of my older versions of that move the stabilizer over an inch farther than that does, trying to get it to balance naturally. So when you're standing on uneven terrain, things of that nature, when you go to hold the bow up, it stays square. It doesn't lean really hard one way or the other. There's benefits and reasons to having side pressure in your bow, but when I personally, from a hunting situation, I just want my bow to sit level without having to fight it. Because if anything, your heart rate's going a bunch. Oh, no screw in it. Looks like I'm going to have to run down the shop and get a screw. All right. Well, first we got to put our bridge lock screw in here. Let's see how. Actually, you know what? I'm going to rotate just a little bit so I'm not standing in front of the light view. Just get it started. Okay. Now, I'm going to take off this giant thing and put that smaller one on, and then we'll stick that in there. I know this might not be a popular thing, but personally, I want a smaller head to aim with because it doesn't take as big of a peep sight to center on it and frame on it, and it's a little easier for me to focus on and aim on and orientate and line things up. I have a really hard time with a big sight picture. Okay, got her loose. That sucker was on there. You must really not want that thing to come out. All right. That there. Oh, it'll be the Loctite they put in there. Yeah, Loctite it. Yeah, must be a concern. So pull this out. I already loosened it. Slide that in. Just make sure she lines up right. There you go. Should pop right in. Get it good and snug. Drop your double pin head in. Is that the right screw? Oh, what do you know it is? Go ahead and screw that one in. Don't over tighten these, you'll break it. Okay. Now, got a nice little 2-pin head on it. That's about the right size. I mean, ideally, I'd almost go a tiny bit bigger than that, but not that big. It's hard to frame something that size. It really is. All right. I'm going to bring this in as far as I can because that's how I do things. I believe it's more accurate that way. You can definitely torque tune a bow to manipulate a different outcome of where things flex and rotate, but I would rather move the rest because I still want the sight in as much as possible because it gives me the maximum amount of range. And I want to be able to shoot far away because I really have fun doing that. It's something I enjoy. Okay, we'll get back to leveling that in a minute. Let me bolt this sucker on. And everything I've got here actually goes on really quick and really easy. And I didn't really intend that to be like a purpose of this application, but this rest installs fast, that sight installs fast, the quiver goes on fast. We'll probably have this whole bolt built in like 15 or 20 minutes. I just try to be a little above the screw, personally. I find that my bows tune and shoot better if my arrow isn't directly through the bolt hole, but about the top half. That just tends to be good, and that should be in the middle of that adjustment where that screw is. So I'm going to give that a little reef. Before we attach that cord, and I've got it on here, and it's set about right, I'm going to put a square on it and mark where the loop goes. For which I'm almost done with the bow giveaways. They've almost all been done. I think I still have 2 people coming. The rest are all finished up. So that's the bottom of the arrow, and that's really all I'm paying attention to. I base this one where I feel it needs to be, and then I'll set the gap based off of whatever I think it needs to be for my arrow. We'll use this as an example because I do shoot the Halo Nox a lot, so that'll probably be where it's at. Let me rotate this flat. Put that up there because that's where the loop's going to end at. And then leave yourself a little bit of daylight. You don't want it to be touching it. You want to leave a little bit of room. And if this bow was under 30 inches, you would double that amount of space. So I tried to do something a little different in this one. I have gotten many requests for a string loop or a peep up close. So we've got our macro here, and hopefully you can get a much better view of what I'm doing. And I will try to talk you through it as I do it. So loops are cut at 4.5 to 4 1/4, depending on how long you want your loop to end up being. This is a number 24 nylon or BCY loop material, and that makes about the right size ball. I fan it out as much as I can. If you don't fan it out enough, this can pull back through. If you ever see somebody draw one back and it comes back and punches them in the face, it's usually because they didn't fan the ball out enough. And you have to let it cool. If you go right into trying to tie this with it just like that, you'll pull it through. I like to wet it a little bit. And if you can't touch it with your fingers and hold it on it, it's probably still too hot. So there you go. Doesn't hurt, doesn't burn. Should be safe to use. Wax the crap out of it. I've already got my 2 pieces of loop material waxed and ready to go. Or Surrey material, excuse me. Get rid of that thing. Need the pen. Nailed it from deep downtown. Awesome. Okay, these have already been waxed. So I'm going to do what they call a triple knot, apparently. I was told the other day. Go around it twice, like that. Cinch it up. And all I'm doing is covering up the silver. Right? I'm not going beyond it, just pretty much covering up with silver. Making sure I leave a little bit of gap. Triple knot, go underneath. Tie it. Looks like I might need to come this way a little bit. Yeah, I'll do one more this direction. 2. Okay, that's good there. Leave about a 1/4 inch or so. You have something to melt. Go ahead and do the other one, underneath one. And the beauty of doing this is not only does it give you some cushion, right, for your arrow when your string flexes, because it will flex, it also keeps your knocking reference when you change your loop out. So you can cut your loop off and you don't lose the knock height. Is that lining up okay?
Mm-hmm.
I usually do 3 or 4 above and below, somewhere around there. It doesn't really have to be specifically that. I just like to give it some space and some cushion. And the triple knot, when you tie it above and below, it tends to work its way all the way around the string, so it looks a little more uniform. you just do a double knot. One, it can come undone relatively easily. And two, it looks like bumpy and uneven. This just has a nice finish to it. Okay, I want to put one more in here because it's not quite tight enough, I don't think. I don't want to have it too sloppy in there. So I'm going to try to sneak one underneath here. And then tie one above. And come up, it'll come up a little bit. Right there, perfect. Okay. Melt it after I cut it. So now when you look at it, it's relatively uniform all the way around for a knot. Works out good. All right. Now, we gotta watch that and make sure I'm not blocking it with my hand. So you go around the back of the loop material, back towards you around the front of the string, and then lay your loop end parallel with that side. You see it okay? And then point it kind of straight up like that. And with your loop pliers, cinch, twist it down, grab it real hard and pull and get it to compress. And then do the same thing over here, but you're going the opposite direction. So if we started on this side, we're now going to start on this side. You go around, pull it all the way tight, go over the loop material, back around the other side of the string away from you, so it lays parallel next to the loop. It's the same exact knot, it's facing the other way. Stick your pliers in, give it a pull. And that is how you do a string loop. Pretty simple. Watch it like 40 times and then you might remember. Okay, now we got that. I'm going to go ahead and attach my cord. I'm going to get some of this slop out of here on this super easy, simple to attach system. Nope, it's one of these. This was so slick. I was really impressed with how easy this system works. Time will tell if it's as durable of a system or if it holds up well, but man, yeah, it was the same screw, I think. Back it off. Cord's loose. All right, and I'm just going to loop it around the bottom here on the inside. This does normally come with a rubber pad, and if I end up having this bow be the bow that I use, I'll probably redo this, but I don't have the rubber pad for it. Go around. It's the same knot we just did, like that. Sorry if I'm blocking the light here. Just like that. And I will cut that off, melt it a little bit, and then pull it tight. Cinch, cinch, a little tug. I always like to try to put these on the inside of the limb because it keeps the cord tighter and away from the quiver. So now we've already got our loop height, so we don't have to worry about any part of that having to be loose. Let me see if I remember this right. I have to push down on the rest and then pull on it. There you go. And like that, that's that screw down. You're already set. Super easy to readjust later. Simple to take it off, let your rest go up, check your loop height, pull it right back down if you can just remember which way to rotate it. But yeah, I just wasn't getting past the point where it's got to be at. So I will probably leave a couple inches on that. Cinch down so it doesn't fray. Use that out. Okay, so that's our rest position. Get our sight on. We can put our quiver brackets on. Set the level of the sight. Just dropping tools everywhere. Flip this over so you can see it better. Might be a little out of bounds, but I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. Right, just drop a spacer. I got it. Okay, this one indent goes like that. Put this screw through here. Put it in here so you can see that a little bit. Just straight through there. This one, bring it back up to you. This one goes like that, right, like that. There you go. Drops in, then locks in down there. Same thing, screw from underneath. See if we can pull that up so you can see it. Screw in right there. Now I am gonna not tune this bow on this video because I'm gonna do wheeling videos. I'm gonna use the bows that I'm building as my wheeling videos for this year so you see how much they move. So we are not gonna actually tune this bow today, nor am I gonna tie the peep in. Just wanted to build it, show you what I was putting on it. I'll add our stabilizer here. There we go. Bolt our quiver on. And we'll have a good shoot off day with all these bows against each other here in the near future before San Antonio attack. Set our levels real quick. This feller. That's one thing that's super slick about this vise. It's really easy to do this. Okay, level there. We'll get our Gen 2. And this is tricky. Trying to get a level on this sight itself flat. It's hard because they don't really have much for flat spots. But if I remember right, down here where the tape sits, it's kind of flat. So I can, no, it doesn't want to clamp. All right, so that'll give me this one. And it does look like it needs a little bit of an adjustment. And that is up here. So if you loosen this one here and then drive it there to get your level. So pop that one loose. Twist drive. Get it square. Okay, that looks good there. That looks good there. Bubble matches in the middle there. We are good for that rail. And third axis I'll do shooting. So we're running that. Okay. So the last things that I will do with this that I'm not going to do on film because I need someone's help to set it is I'll put a peep in it and I'll put a nose button on it and I'll run it through paper. We will run it through paper after we do the wheeling video because it's probably going to need to be wheeling adjusted. So let me know what you think of this video and other ones like it. We will do several more of these bow builds, this just being the first one. We're going to end that and head on over to podiumarcher.com for all those archery needs other than a high-end Mathews hunting bow. We're not allowed to sell those, but I can sell you everything that's bolted on here pretty much with it. And I do have a coupon code to save you a little money. It's MFJJ. Now, it doesn't save you money on everything, but most things that we're allowed to do any kind of thing on, we will. These are priceless. One of the neatest features for Mathews, so don't forget those. If you're running a Mathews and you're not running a limb leg, I think you're kind of missing out on something, because it is pretty cool to be able to attach something to your limb pocket, not your limb, so you don't have to take it off. If it attaches to your limb, you're likely to have to take it off. Oops, that's going to be in the way. You're likely to have to take it off when you shoot, and because of this design, you don't have to, so it's nice. Okay, just sits on like that, rotate forward, sit it on the ground, pop off my level, and that's bow build number 1. Hopefully you learned something, and hopefully this might be somewhat of a guide when you're trying to bolt one together yourself for the first time. Baker's products are really, really nice to use. I can't recommend it enough. And you don't have to get this whole snazzy floor stand workstation. You can get just this vise and bolt it to your counter. It's pretty reasonable. We do sell them. They are out frequently because they're a small company and they're trying to keep up with the demand that's been created. So hopefully we can keep these in for you as much as we can, because they are nice if you're going to work on it yourself combined with your press. So comment down below what you think of this video. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys following along.